5,000 steps, but you really took 4,000. Is that a good analogy? So personally, for myself, I use both of these. Yo, what's going on, everybody? I am hopping on here because it only felt right to make a video about one of my most asked questions, which is about fitness trackers. Figured I'd make a video comparing these two bad boys, the Whoop strap and the Apple Watch. So first I'm going to start off with the main features of each of these devices. They both use heart rate and HRV, or at least have the ability to use HRV. So a quick definition of HRV is the time between heartbeats. And just by measuring that, you can kind of actually tell a lot about your body and your central nervous system. And Whoop does a good job of capitalizing on this, and that is kind of what sets it apart. So I'm going to start off with the Apple Watch first. Its main feature is the rings, right? So if you have an Apple Watch, many of you do, you know that there are 3 rings. There is a move ring, which is just a certain amount of calories to hit throughout the day. There's a stand ring, which is how long you're standing throughout the day. And then an exercise ring, which is how long you're exercising. Every individual gets to set whatever goal that they want. Essentially, you have these 3 rings, and throughout the day, they slowly close as you complete each task. And then at the end of the day, if you complete all 3 rings, then you get this beautiful little display. It says you hit all 3 rings and you can feel good about yourself. So the Apple Watch obviously tracks exercise. You pick the type of activity that you're getting into, and it'll tell you the calories burned, how many active calories you're burning, and then at the end, it wraps it up in a nice little bow for you to see how much you exerted during that workout. And obviously the Apple Watch comes with an app to go with it, which we'll get into in a little bit. Let's talk about the Whoop now. So the Whoop is much more interactive. There's a lot more going on there. It starts off with a daily overview, which gives you a percentage of your recovery for that day, count your strain, your average HRV, and how many calories you're burning. And each tab has its own details. So there's a strain tab on a scale of 1 to 21. Essentially what that is how much you've exerted yourself. It uses a combination of your workouts and just your daily habits. So, you know, if you're in construction, you're gonna have a pretty high strain even if you don't work out. And then there's also the recovery tab, and that's where HRV kind of comes into place. It'll take how much strain you exerted the day before, how well you slept that night, and tell you how well you recovered. And you know, it'll kind of coach you on whether or not you should be working out or how hard you should be working out. And then the last slide is the sleep performance. Again, this is combined with the strain to give you your recovery each day. And essentially it's got some cool statistics on how you slept versus how much time you were in bed, and all these little facts that if you get one, you will have a better understanding of what's going on there. So the main thing to take away from the Whoop is the recovery, which it gives you every day, your strain, which is how much you're exerting yourself throughout the day, and your sleep, which when you combine how well you slept with your strain, that's how you get your recovery. And that's kind of the basis of Whoop and what has attracted people to the product. So now I want to delve a little bit deeper into the software of each of these individually before I get into some of their similarities and differences. Again, the Apple Watch has the rings, right? But within the app, you can also see your steps taken. It's not very interactive. Like I said, it's very limited. It's really just kind of there for you to see what's going on and how you're doing throughout the day. They do have a trends section. The trend section does take, I believe, like 360 days, a whole year, basically of data before it can start giving you these trends. But before you see that, there is a little column where I believe it's just shows you kind of averages for the past 90 days of things you've been doing. So again, very basic, but very easy to understand, very easy to read. And I like that about it, right? Now the Whoop, this is kind of where it separates itself. It's got some pretty cool features that I really like and that I find a lot of value in. First one being the journal. So every morning you wake up, it's going to ask you a list of questions. If you want, you can turn it off, but it's gonna ask you a list of questions, some personal, some not, that basically tracks your habits. And so it'll ask you things like, did you drink alcohol? Do you listen to music before you go to bed? And then all the way down to more serious things, right? So drugs and sex and things like that. And so over time, it's able to take the data that you're plugging in about your habits, and it can tell you, hey, every time I did this, you know, we saw this. One cool thing that I found out is that when I listen to white noise, my recovery seems to improve. So I think the journal is super helpful and one of the more helpful features of the Whoop strap and the app. And then there's also the sleep statistics. Say that 3 times fast. I think that's really cool because it just shows you all these pretty cool details. You know, how long you're in REM sleep, how long you were in light sleep. And these are all important factors when it comes to quality sleep, right? Based on your heart rate and HRV measurements, it can tell you with a pretty good level of accuracy the stages of sleep that you are in. And that's a very cool feature. Also, a big one for me is the ability to log workouts on your phone. So I don't ever have to actually be in the app to get a workout in. It's got a sensor. Once your heart rate has been elevated for 15 minutes, then it will automatically know that you're working out. It's very accurate, almost never misses a workout. I don't think it's ever missed one for me. In fact, sometimes it'll overdo it and start logging workouts for me where I actually wasn't working out, but I was probably doing something intense. Usually it's like cooking where it's high heat, moving around, or commuting from one client to the next or something like that. It's very good at that, and I love that I don't have to ever go into the app and actually hit it, because I don't know about you, but I kind of suck at doing that with the Apple Watch. And so it's nice to have that automatic workout logging system. And then another really cool and advanced feature about the Whoop is its weekly and monthly assessments. So every week, it'll tell you basically how that week went, how your recovery was overall, how your strain was overall, and how those two kind of mesh together to create your previous week. And there's also the monthly assessments, which kind of ties in with the journal a little bit, and it'll tell you your habits, you know, based on what you did that month. This month, you gained 15% recovery every time you did XYZ. A little bit on the advanced side and could be overwhelming for some people, for sure, if you want to change certain habits, or certain bad habits, I should say. If you're an elite athlete or someone who works out a lot, this could be a great motivator if you're willing to pay attention and use the resources that Whoop offers. And then the last little thing is it allows you to record within the app. I don't really use it, but it's an interesting feature nonetheless. Maybe for influencers or whatever, they might have some use on this, recording their workouts while it's showing the recovery and their heart rate and stuff like that. That's just a little bonus there that you can take if you do have the Whoop strap. So now let's get into a little bit of the differences and similarities about each of these devices to understand, and this is generally for all fitness trackers. There's a lot of debate about how accurate they are, but there's no debate about how consistent they are. And that's how you should really use these fitness trackers. So for instance, if one of these devices tell you burn 1,000 calories, but you really burn 500, very inaccurate, correct? But you can rest assured that if it hit 5,000 again, that you for sure burned 500 calories, if that makes sense. So the differences are very consistent, but maybe the numbers might not be. The key is to look at the differences, and that's where you get the most benefit from all the fitness trackers. So the Apple Watch, very accurate, but if anything, it does seem to overstate my calories. And the Whoop strap, again, both very accurate, but tends to understate my calories, if ever, but usually is around the ballpark. So I would say the Whoop strap is a little bit more accurate, but you gotta understand that obviously the Whoop is built for one thing and one thing only, that's fitness tracking. Apple Watch can't put all the resources into fitness tracking, but for the amount that they did, it's excellent, it's really good. I would not complain about it at all, and the readings seem to be really consistent. Between the two, usually the correct answer is somewhere in the middle. And as far as convenience goes, again, I do like the fact that the Whoop strap automatically logs your workout for you, and the Apple Watch, you have to manually go in there and log it yourself. For my people who are into more physical activities, martial arts, boxing, wrestling, football, or swing kettlebells, I should say that for sure, they both have bicep bands, but Apple Watch, you're going to have to buy that from a third party. Whoop has their own bicep band, and it also has a protective padding, so it's gonna be more reliable as opposed to having to get a bicep band from a third party that is not associated with Apple, if that makes any sense. And on that topic, if you don't want to get a bicep band, one thing about the Whoop is that you can just flip it in the opposite way and it won't get in the way. So if you're swinging kettlebells like me, that'll just do that. It'll continue counting your calories. As opposed to my Apple Watch, I don't think there's really a way to do that. Maybe if you have a really light band, you can make it work and flip it over, but I really don't want to take that risk, to be honest with you, because it's just so expensive. So I end up taking it off. Battery life, big difference there. Apple Watch, maybe a day, right? In the morning, 100%. By the time I go to bed, I need to charge it just about every day. And the Whoop on the website says 5 days. If you use it a lot though, you'll probably get 3 to 4 days out of it. It comes with this little battery pack charger, and you can slide it on, and then it'll be charging while it's on your wrist. So you never really have to take it off, and you charge the battery pack completely separately. They're both waterproof, so for my swimmers out there, you don't have to worry about it. The social aspects. So I think this is kind of a big deal, and this is where Apple kind of sets itself apart, because more people just generally have Apple Watches. There's going to be more of a social component. If you have an Apple Watch, you know that you can add your friends on there, and you guys can all kind of share, oh, I did this workout. You'll get updates constantly about other people working out, and that can be motivating. You can also compete with friends one-on-one. That's also another good way to stay fit and to enjoy fitness. Whoop, on the other hand, does have communities, but because less people have it, you end up not really knowing anybody in those communities. So the way I put it is, if you want to compete against your friends, Apple Watch. If you want to compete against the world, go ahead and get a Whoop strap. But you can create your own group with the Whoop if you have, other people with Whoop and you guys want to share data and stuff like that. But Apple Watch is going to be far more social. And then on the devices themselves, the Apple Watch obviously has a face because it's a watch, so it's much more interactive, much more engaging. The Whoop strap is literally just a strap. There is nothing here. All you see is just a little heart rate monitor blinking, and that's it. You can change the bands just like you can change the bands on an Apple Watch. They have all these different cool colors that you can mess around with. But for the most part, you just slap this baby on. You never have to worry about it. You only go into the app itself to look at the data. As opposed to this will send you notifications throughout the day. It'll tell you when friends have done workouts. It'll tell you when you've closed the rings, offer a little motivational advice from time to time, which is nice. I personally like the fact that there's no face on this, because there's no way I could have 2 devices with faces on them. That's way too much distraction for me. I feel like the Apple Watch is a little more playful, and the Whoop strap is like the more serious older brother, and they kind of work very well together for me personally. But as far as the app goes, for sure, the app on the Whoop is much more interactive as opposed to the Apple Watch, which again shows some very basic data, but nonetheless useful information. And the price on both of these, we all know Apple Watches are pretty expensive. I don't think the new one is coming out at somewhere $400, $500, $600 or something like that. The Whoop strap, so they used to have a one-time fee, but they got smart and realized they can make more money in the long run if they have a subscription-based format. Now it's $30 for the Whoop strap and the battery, and then $30 a month to have access to all the data that they're giving you. But with the code, which is why I always push the code, with the code you get, or with a friend's code, you get the first month free and a free Whoop strap. So essentially you can kind of get $60 off. I think that's the best deal you can get anywhere. So that's why I kind of push that code out there. Use the code, okay? Even if it's not my code, grab a friend's code, I don't care. That's just how you get the best discount. But at the end of the day, guys, both of these are really good options if you use them to their maximum capacity. Personally, I use both of these as they each have their own strengths. I love the social aspect and the simplicity of the Apple Watch, how it keeps me in contact with certain people and the friendly competition. And I just love the analytical data of the Whoop strap and how deep it gets. And like I said, it's helped me a lot, particularly with sleep. That's been a big one for me. I've been struggling with that for the past like 10 years. So my sleep has gotten a lot better ever since I've been able to actually see the data in front of me, and I don't have to lie to myself all the time. So by no means is this review comprehensive of both of these devices. They can both do a lot more. They both, Strava integration, all that stuff. But in conclusion, I would say if you're more goal-oriented or emotionally driven, maybe the Apple Watch might be the way to go. It is pretty simple. It does make you feel some type of way when you close all the rings. It's always a good feeling. Sometimes I'll have 11 hours left out of 12, and I'll be ready to go to bed, and I'll put my watch on just to get that 12th hour so I can see those rings close. So I just recommend this for people who just want to ensure that they're staying active. If you close those 3 rings every day, you're going to be in good shape. It's really just move, stand, exercise. Now, if you're more logic or data driven, which I would say I probably am to a certain extent, probably the Whoop. The big thing is that they go above and beyond to give you personalized feedback, and that's the key word here, is personalized feedback about your body and about your fitness habits. You're likely to learn something about yourself even if you pay the bare minimum attention to it, just by proxy of going on the app and looking at your recovery scores every day and things like that, without even delving into any of the assessments, right? The weekly or the monthly assessments. I have convinced people to get a Whoop strap, and it has been overwhelming, which is why, again, the Apple Watch offers a really nice, more simple option to fitness tracking. If you are logical and you like putting the dots together and looking at the big picture and finding links between things, then you got to get one of these. You're bound to learn something from a Whoop strap, which is why I just advocate for so many people to get one, even if it's for a few months, right? You don't have to stay for years or whatever and stay locked in. Get one, learn about your body for a little bit, and then move on, right? So that's also not a bad option. It is worth noting that the new Apple Watch, I think it's the 6, that will have sleep performance. It will have an EKG, and it will have blood oxygen sensoring. So that's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out. There are other fitness trackers out there, right? The Oura Ring, the Fitbit, gyroscope app that you can tie in with the Apple Watch. These are all great options as well to track your fitness. You don't have to just stick to one of these two. I do want to mention Amazon did come out with their brand, the Halo band, I guess. So I was able to get my hands on these. They sent me early release or something like that, so I picked it up and I'm gonna test it out and see how it goes. Apparently this can tell your body composition, so body fat percentage, which is interesting. It analyzes your tone of voice to make you understand how you sound to others, and it'll know if you're tired or not based on that. So there's some interesting features about the Halo that I'm really interested in finding out and comparing it to these other two. I will let you guys know how that goes in a future video and or post. But other than that, guys, that's been the review. But feel free to delve deeper into any of these two topics. Again, if you have any questions, reach out to me and I will do my best to answer them and help you guys out. Other than that, thanks for watching. Look out for the next video, I guess, and see you guys later. Ciao.